Who told you that? Your mother? Your mother, who all she knows about marriage is to pay after sex. Your mother, who's on her fourth husband and 20th 900 ask a psychic marriage counselor? I'm sick to death of hearing things have changed, things have changed. I see that things have changed, but you know what hasn't changed? Husbands. You have your careers and you have your causes and you have your whatnots, but you let your husbands slip through your fingers. We didn't have careers. We were wives and homemakers and child rearers. And don't you blame me for your mother. Believe you me, she never saw your grandfather and me talking through issues. I didn't want to know what Bradley was thinking, and I certainly didn't want to hear him lie about it. I don't know how the other wives managed. It wasn't something we talked about over bridge, but nobody filed for divorce or had trial separations. We certainly didn't have joint decision making. I decided what was decided, me alone, and it worked out just fine. It was what it was, and whatever it was that for a very long time. Oh, not always, not in the beginning, but everything came together the year I turned 35. Your generation doesn't get married until you're 35, but in my day, 35 was the backside of the hill. Let me be clear. I wasn't worried about getting old because I thought I wouldn't. I was too vibrant, too on top of it. But then suddenly 35 appeared. Oh, dear God, 35. What have I accomplished? What is my legacy? I could cook a standing rib. I could make rich and satisfying desserts. My vegetables were always consumed because I cleverly spiced them with bacon. My guests happily gobbled my food, but never once asked for a recipe, making my worry shift from what have I accomplished to why doesn't anybody care what I've accomplished? Was I inconsequential, irrelevant? One dinner party night, a man from the company brought a new girlfriend, Sylvia. She was younger. Her youth was her second outstanding feature, her first being her low-cut sweater. The men hung on her every word as they angled for a better peep down her low-cut brassiere. Later that night, I was about to ask my husband, your grandfather, what had gotten into everybody when he said, why don't you get a sweater like that? Oh, eclipsed by a pair of breast tops and almost 35. I confronted my approaching birthday party with special attention to my physical appearance. I spent the week getting massages, facials, hair color, the works, even a pedicure. Although I hate to see the growing mound of shaved, dead heel skin. My concession to Bradley's inquiry to a peekaboo sweater was to buy sexy shoes. I felt bold. I would conquer the 35-year mounting by owning it. A slightly too tight cocktail dress, hair in a French twist, slingback sandals, red toes, and an enormous cake with a resplendent 35 across the center. The invitation said no gifts, but they all brought cards, each and every one containing an aging joke. Sagging bosom joke, drooping bottom joke, left behind wife joke, used up wife joke. Not one person commented on my shoes. I looked up from the funny card I was reading to see Sylvia surrounded by all the male guests and the male host. Why, I wondered, would she be interested in these middle-aged, saggy men? She was young, had a legendary cleavage, and could surely attract any number of young things. I watched her fawn over her chubby, balding date. Was it a father complex? Just another girl wanting to have sex with her daddy, or had had sex with him and was wishing to repeat their forbidden experience? She hadn't impressed me as having it something so complex as a complex. The answer was probably simpler. Money. Isn't the answer always money, even in the most unlikely circumstances? She was pretending to love for money. No one was pretending to love me for any reason at all. I realized that my loving had increased while his had gone the way of his hairline. I take his new suit to the cleaners and notice that the pants are 2 sizes bigger than the old ones. His racquetball dates at the country club decline, even as my weekly tennis games double, triple, and then threaten to become daily events. I am working overtime to be trim and lovely and therefore loved. And he is not working at it at all. When had I ceased to fascinate him? As I didn't keep a journal, I was never going to identify the moment. Instead of dwelling in the past, I did what any self-respecting wife would do. I gave another party. Same guest list, same caterers, same 35-year-old hostess wife, same Sylvia, wearing something slinky and expensive. She shows up in the kitchen saying, "Nice party." I didn't plan this. This was spontaneous. "Sylvia, do you want to play a game?" Her eyes lit up. Her nipples lit up. Her whole being sprang erect. "Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. Please, yes." Putting an instant lie to her comment, "Nice party." She was bored out of her gourd. "Do you think you could pretend to find me fascinating?" I didn't even have to explain. Not that I could have. "Let's go put on a show," she said, beaming, ready, dangerous. She started the dialogue as soon as others could hear. "I don't know how you do this. I could never put on a party like this." "My friend, you don't ever want to be caught giving a party like this. You only want to be a guest at a party like this." "You're right," she said. "It would ruin my whole day." I said, "Your week, you mean?" "Oh, my goodness, Edna." This was the first time she'd used my name. I didn't even know she knew it. "Whatever did you sacrifice for this unworthy bunch of freeloaders?" Nervous chuckles around the room. "I was writing a report to the city council regarding traffic mitigation on our street. Now I shall have to wait till next month to deliver it." Bradley looked astonished. I had told him about the report. I guess he hadn't been listening until others were listening. The rest of the conversation ranged from literature to local politics. Sylvia always saw to it that I was the center of attention. As she and her date left, she lavished me with admiration, which I received as if I was accustomed to it. While clearing the party detritus into bins, Bradley asked, "What was all that about?" I, of course, pretended not to know what he was talking about. Confused, he made his way up to bed while I loaded the dishwasher. Later, when he reached for me under the covers, I murmured, "Too tired." Sex rejection was not part of our marital vocabulary. I could tell by his breathing he didn't fall asleep with his usual alacrity. The next morning, I awake to the smell of coffee. He never made the coffee. I take my time getting to the kitchen, dress, shower, put on makeup, tie out my hair, put on a pair of tailored slacks and a button up the back sweater, not your usual Saturday morning house cleaning attire. Oh, hi, Brad. I thought you had a golf game. Purposely not praising him for making the coffee. I could spend the day with you, he said. Oh, sorry. I'm having lunch with a friend, Ta. And I grab my keys and my purse and I'm out the door before he can ask. And Ta, I have no idea where Ta came from. That was the day it all changed. I drive downtown and park in the department store garage. I'm sorry you've never experienced the delights of downtown department store shopping. Granted, we couldn't shop at 2 a.m., but it had many other charms. I sat in my car in the garage studying the events of the previous 14 hours. Sylvia had lavished me with attention. Her attention drew the attention of the rest, including Bradley. Her attention was pretend. His attention was real. The next morning, I pretended to be a breezy, self-confident, undesperate wife, and my reward for pretending was attention, real attention. I tried to calm my racing heart. Was pretending the secret of the universe? I need more evidence. I stay away all day, have breakfast in the cafe, have lunch in the bistro, have coffee and cake in the patisserie. You can't do any of that on your phone. I buy him a present in the golf shop. It's a towel that's supposed to travel in the bag with the golf clubs. The towel says par none, par with a P. It's a pun. It's almost 6 o'clock by the time I get home. I enter excited, happy, not giving him a chance to question my long absence. This is my first planned pretending. I am pretending love. Oh, Brad, look what I got for you. And I take the towel out of its shopping bag and hold it up. It's a joke saying. Can you explain it to me? I hang on his every word as if he were a poet genius. I laugh at the pun as if it's funny. He takes my hand and I feel a quiver up my spine as if I were not pretending, but I pull away. No, excuse me, love. There's a call I need to make because now I am pretending not love. I go up to the bedroom and call someone, my mother, I think. As I'm hanging up the phone, Bradley puts his arms around my waist. Sex. Sex like before we were married. I pretend not to notice. I'm up and in the shower without the usual fawning because I am still pretending not love. Not love goes on all week. At the end of the week, Bradley reinstates his club membership, has 3 racquetball dates the first week, comes home right after work, devotes his Saturdays to me instead of to golf. I reward these changes by pretending love. I develop a love, not love switch. I know instinctively which vacuum needs to be filled, which switch to flip. Pretending not love felt very like actual not love, just as pretending love felt very like actual love. there were pitfalls. If I stayed in not love too long, I began thinking about divorce or other men. An extended period of love, and I could feel Bradley losing interest in me. But there was never any real danger. There was only pretend danger, the pretending game. I was the master player. It kept me trim. He never knew. But, well, really, this was nothing. I don't know why it stays so vivid. Maybe 2 decades into the game, I was a few days into pretending not love when he brought the coffee pot to where I was reading, or pretending reading. He filled my cup. I didn't thank him, expecting him to go back to the kitchen unacknowledged, but he stood there. I looked up. He had what I can only describe was a shit-eating grin on his face. He stared at me a few seconds, shook his head, and then returned to the kitchen. Huh. It's not as if I could have asked. But if he was pretending as well, then you must see, it's how you make it work for the duration. It would have been nice to know. But for now, I can pretend to mourn. And pretending mourning feels very like actual mourning.